Y'all, but where I come from in the country, we call that a testimony, okay? That was beautiful. Congratulations to Gustavo. There's no greater honor than to be recognized by your peers. I was a little late getting on stage. I had to make sure I hugged his neck for his contributions, and we want to thank Aisha for opening up as well. I've had the privilege of working with several OFN members over the years, including meeting with the OFN Board of Directors at the White House just earlier this spring, and insisted that after that meeting I needed to be here with you today. I'm sorry, I'm going to put my glasses on. I don't need them, but I can't see without them, so I know some of you can identify with that. The work that you all are doing is making such a difference all across this great country for people and communities that have felt forgotten for so many years. 40 years is a tremendous accomplishment. I really want to say congratulations to Harold, the entire OFN team, the board, and each and every one of you for the work that you've been doing to make this possible. I'm excited to be here with you and celebrate on behalf of the President and Vice President the work that you're doing to build towards a truly inclusive future for each and every one of us and our families across this country. I'm Steve Benjamin. I serve as a senior advisor to the President and director of the Office of Public Engagement at the White House. I'm also a former mayor of Columbia, South Carolina, and president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I've had the privilege of serving on the CEFI board and working closely proximate to the real issues that you all are trying to solve every single day for our families, and I'm so honored to be here. The Office of Public Engagement, for those of you who have not worked with us in the past, serves as the front door to the White House. That initial aperture that civil society engages with the White House and allows us to do what I believe the most important task of government is to do, which is, quite frankly, to listen. My grandmother would say, God gives you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. And if you do that, it's amazing the amount of constructive criticism and input and ideation and innovation that leads to truly changing lives. We work closely with civil society, business, labor, civil rights and racial equity groups, higher education institutions, veterans, old folks, young folks, literally 30 portfolios that allow us to inform better policymaking on the federal level, and each and every one of you have fed into the aperture one way or another or through OFN, and I want to thank you for the work you do. Sometimes it means that we have to bring people to DC, to the White House, but more importantly, it means we have to get out into the community. I spend at least 1 day a week on the road, and weeks like this week, I spend 5 days on the road, getting around the country. And I've known what I know each and every one of you knows, that while talent exists in every single corner of this country, opportunity does not. For far too long, investment has left talent, a lack of investment has left talent and productivity on the sidelines in rural communities, urban cores, and among communities of color. And that's why from day one, the President and Vice President's primary goals have been increased economic opportunity and close the wealth gap across this country. And the first day of the administration, the President signed an executive order outlining a whole-of-government approach to advancing racial equity and supporting underserved communities. That order planted a flag in the ground that advancing equity is a priority for this administration. Since then, we work closely with a variety of organizations to ensure that the President and Vice President's agenda is advancing benefits for all Americans equitably. Vice President Harris, as she has throughout her career, has taken a leading role in this effort. As a senator, the Vice President partnered with key congressional stakeholders to secure a transformative $12 billion investment for CDFIs and MDIs in December of 2020. And as Vice President, she's worked to ensure that minority, rural, and low-income communities have the capital and resources they need to thrive and support a vibrant business ecosystem. In 2022, the Vice President launched the Economic Opportunity Coalition, a coalition of more than 30 of the largest private sector companies, many in this room, and philanthropic organizations, coming together in a thoughtful, intersectoral, intergovernmental way under her leadership to address economic disparities and accelerate economic opportunity in communities of color and other underserved communities. To date, the EOC has announced more than $1 billion in deposits with CDFIs and MDIs through partnerships with private companies, and is on pace to reach a goal of more than $3 billion by next year. We're seeing the positive impact on the ground in communities all across the country. The CEO of M&F Bank in North Carolina specifically credits EOC for allowing the bank to provide $6.5 million in debt financing to Shaw University, one of our fantastic HBCUs in Raleigh University. The financing facilitated debt restructuring and improved the university's financial condition, allowing Shaw to better focus on its core mission of preparing our next generation of leaders. In addition, the Vice President has worked with our partners at the Small Business Administration, Department of Treasury, and other financial agencies to expand access to capital for minority-owned small businesses. The SBA has backed $35 billion in loans to over 68,000 minority-owned small businesses during the Biden-Harris administration, an increase of more than a double-digit increase compared to the entirety of the prior administration. At least 43% of those small businesses receiving loans or investments supported by the Treasury Department's SSBCI initiative have been minority-owned. These are transformative investments. The Treasury Department expects that the $12 billion the Vice President helped secure her time in the Senate for community lenders will lead to an additional $50 billion in increases lending to Latino communities and $80 billion to Black communities over the next decade. That leverage has been important and critical. And the $1.73 billion in grants awarded through the Treasury's CDFI Equitable Recovery Program, the CDFI ERP program, will help communities across the country, especially in rural areas, farms, and ranchers. I met with some yesterday in Georgia, in counties who've experienced persistent poverty for generations. The Vice President also knows that underserved communities cannot be ignored in the fight against the climate crisis, a topic that I know all of you are spending so much time on this week and in your communities back home, a topic that grows more urgent by the day as we see the devastation wreaked across the Southeast and even in wildfires out here, out west, over 100 wildfires going on right now. Earlier this year, the Vice President announced $20 billion in awards to Stand Up National Finance Network to fund tens of thousands of climate and clean energy projects across the country, especially in low-income and disadvantaged communities. This program is going to ensure that communities across the country have the access to the capital they need to participate in and benefit from a cleaner, more sustainable economy. I went over a lot of numbers there, y'all, but I'm a big believer in Deming's quote, that in God we trust, everyone else bring me data, okay? The data is here. Under the President's leadership and the Vice President's leadership, we've achieved the lowest Black unemployment rate on record since we started disaggregating data since 1972. There's a lot of noise out there. We created more than 2.4 million jobs for Black workers. Black business ownership and Hispanic business ownership are growing at the fastest rate in over 30 years because of the work we're doing with folks in this room. Median net worth is up 60% for Black families and 47% for Latino families from 2019 to 2022. After falling in the prior decade, women's labor force participation is the highest it's been in decades, and the gender pay gap is the narrowest it's ever been on record. We're making progress by doing this together. And we're making progress because the President and the Vice President have made it the priority of this White House in making sure we're taking a whole of government approach, whole of society approach to challenging these intransigent problems. At the NAACP convention in Las Vegas earlier this summer, President Biden asked, what kind of America do you want to leave your children and grandchildren? His answer was an America of hope, fairness, opportunity, and possibilities. That's the America we've been working towards together with each and every one of you in this room by unlocking the economic potential of people, businesses, and neighborhoods that have been overlooked and underestimated. The President and Vice President's policies are generating economic returns that benefit not only these individuals and communities, but all of society as a whole. We're creating hope, fairness, opportunity, and possibilities. But there's so much more work to be done. We know the wealth gap is persistent. It will take all of us playing a role and working together to close it. We cannot halt the progress that's been made over the last 4 years. We have to keep moving forward together. So on behalf of our President and Vice President, I believe the two most important words in the English language are thank you. My wife says they're actually yes, ma'am. I still believe they're thank you. On behalf of President Biden and Vice President Harris, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for the critical work that you're doing. We have a lot of amazing policy experts in the administration and in the White House, but we have the opportunity because of opportunities like this at OFN to come out and spend time with the subject matter experts, the people who are doing the work every single day. You provide us with constructive leadership, constructive criticism that help us do our jobs and do it that much better. We look forward to continuing to work with you over these next several months and over these next 8 years as well, and continue that work. Thank you. God bless you.